And welcome in, guys. It is week 9 EPL on Ultimate Soccer. I'm going to give you the predictions. You're going to get them really soon. We're going to look at the league really quickly, and then we'll finish off with some news, collectively good, bad, and ugly. And there's some attitude coming out of this show as well. So remember, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and make a comment down below. Now's the time. I myself am not a big international fan. I mean, I love the World Cup. I love the Euros. I love everything around the world that goes off big time, you know. I mean, South America is always a treat, yeah. And North America is always a treat with CONCACAF. So I like all the international games, per se, when it's competition. But when it's qualifying and when it's friendlies, just doesn't do it for me. So I can't wait to get back to league football. And like I say, coming up this weekend, it's week 9. And I've got to tell you, we got a few surprises on the board. Take a look at the league standing right now. As you can see, Tottenham Hotspur riding high with Arsenal, both on 20 points. And you would never have thought that that could happen at this stage of the season for Tottenham, but it's happening. And I've got to say, Andre Postecoglou, the coach coming in from Celtic, the Australian, you still wouldn't have thought they would have been on top by now, would you? But he's doing a fantastic job. Can Spurs stay on top all year? I say no. Can they win the title? It's going to be interesting, but right now they haven't proven anything. They're just on top after 8, right? What do you think? Can Tottenham win the league? Can they stay on top? I'll leave it up to you. Arsenal, still in second, been second a long time, finished second last year, looking to win that title, yeah? Can they? Can Arsenal win the title? Can they win the title? What's it going to take for Arsenal to win the title? Man City to flatline a few more times. Remember, most teams that win the Premier League lose maybe 5, maybe 6 games. Man City's lost 2 games already. They can only lose another 3, maybe 4 games, and you've got to say it's done. So the pressure is really on Manchester City, absolutely, massively. Liverpool doing very well, considering last year's finish. This year's looking good, more like Liverpool sitting in 4th on 17 points. And then you've got Aston Villa riding higher too, 16 points in 5th. Then it's Brighton, West Ham, Newcastle, Palace, and Man United down in 10. 4 wins, 4 losses. I think Crystal Palace can be quite happy where they are, considering they don't really bang them in too much. And Newcastle United, they started way, way bad down low this season. I said they'd be coming back up, and they're coming back up real fast. This weekend might push them even further up the table. So there's your top 10. It's going to be interesting. Looking at the final 4, though, at the end of the season, I think Arsenal, yes. Man City, yes. Liverpool, yes. But I'm debating whether it's Tottenham or Newcastle for 5th. It's going to be very close. But should Postecoglou keep Spurs going the way he has, well, how can you really rule out Spurs staying in the top 4? And really, with each week that comes down, that they're in the top 4 and that are either first or second, you have to think they're pushing the big teams all the way. And I think come maybe the last quarter of the season, so round about game 30, I'd look for Spurs to maybe drift away, if not before then. I'm not coming down too hard into Tottenham, but I don't think this is your year. Yes, you can improve. Yes, you can become a better team with a better squad. And yes, you could probably go further in Europe too. But winning the EPL, I don't think that's going to be that easy. Let's take a look at the bottom 10 right now. Take a look. So as you can see, down at the bottom, Sheffield United, 8 games in, 1 point. 1 point taken from 24. That is definitely an indicator of what's going to happen. Are they going to be the team that has the worst record, Premier League record in history? 17, 18 points is about the figure you want to avoid. So can they get higher than 17 or 18 points? It's going to be interesting. But Sheffield down the bottom. Bournemouth, you knew that they were going to be in the bottom 3. Looking at last year's form, it was a miracle when they avoided the drop. But you saw the signs that they were going to be in the bottom 3 again next year. They're in there already after 8 games, and only Burnley is above them, and just above them is Luton. Those 4 teams, I would say, are about the exact same caliber. So whoever gets the best results against each other could probably stay alive with probably a record amount of points, i.e. not a huge amount, but the least amount of points possible to survive. I think you're probably going to have 1 or 2 teams in the bottom 3 that set records of low points on the season. But the bottom 4, I think, is really where you got to lay your money on for the teams to be relegated. Just above them, Everton, you know, The Toffees have never really lit it up over the last few years. They've wasted a lot of money, like I've told you before. They have no form, but recently they bang in a lot of goals. Is that going to continue? Because that needs to continue to get them out of the bottom 10, first of all, and away from relegation. Do you see Everton as a top 10 team? Because I don't. I think the bottom 10 is where they are by design and by default. They don't put the money in the right places. They don't have the players in the right places, and they're not picking up the points at the right times either. So Everton, I do say, will stay a Premier League club one more year. But boy, oh boy, have they ever got to start signing people up. Luton, you're hanging on by your fingernails. I think that's all it's going to be for you. Brentford, I did say a few shows ago, are not a top 10 team. That last year was an absolute glorious finish, but absolutely overachieving. So looking at Brentford, I said they were not top 10. I don't believe they're top 10. And right now, 15th, somewhere to 13th, I think is pretty much where they should be. I think it's realism. Looking at Wolves, again, that's realism. For this squad, what they did have, they don't have anymore. They don't seem to be firing and fighting for the cause. It seems to be a very generic, a very soft-touch kind of team that can put it together one day, but the next week, they look toothless up front. So, Wolves, you're in the right spot. 14th is where you should be. That's where you're going to be. I think that's where you should stay. Nottingham Forest, for my money, should not be above Wolves, but look at the investment they've made over the last couple of seasons. It's now starting to pay off. The longer you have guys together, the better the team chemistry, the better the chemistry overall, and the easier it is to find your partner up and down the line or through the middle or where you need him to be. And you can even make those passes halfway across the field blind because you know where your chemistry is, you know where your players are. So Forest, I think, are going to survive this year. It'll be what solidifies Nottingham Forest as a Premier League club for the future. Second year in is always terrible, yeah? Forest survives this year, solidifies himself as a big Premier League club, not winning titles, but a big Premier League club, much like in the mould of Stoke City about a decade ago. Let's hope Stoke City can come back one day and that Nottingham Forest don't go by the wayside like Stoke, who right now in the Championship look like they could be popping down into League Two. But yes, Nottingham Forest, I look for you to survive. I like everything Stevie Cook's done with that team, and I love to watch Forest. They're very exciting to play because they play an enterprising brand of football. It's not so sort of static through the lines like a lot of the teams that sometimes bore you. And let's face it, EPL football is not always excitement. Sometimes you are bored to tears with the ball going along the back line and the predictable passes back to the keeper and all sorts of time-wasting measures that you do not get in the lower leagues of football. Hence, when you watch Wrexham per se, it's way more exciting. Now, talking about Fulham, that's where they should be. In Chelsea, it's a debacle, still a debacle in 11th. You know where they should be, but that's not where they are. They should at least be a top 6 club. Look at the money. Over £1 billion spent in the last 12 months. And look at where they are, 11th. And guess what? Man United is only one place higher. At least Chelsea haven't lost 4 games on the season yet. Now, let's take a look at the games coming up. We've got big games coming up on the weekend. Let's get into them right now. So the games on the weekend, there's 10 of them, 8 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, 1 on Monday. Looking at the first one, it's the Liverpool-Everton game, the Merseyside derby. And everybody loves to tune in for this one. But on this day, I tell you what, it's coming off at Anfield. And I think that as much as Everton have been doing well recently, it's only going to go one way. And I only see Liverpool winning. Scoreline could be 2-3-0. By the way, last weekend, we had 85% correct scores again. So we're doing pretty good. The next game coming up is Brentford taking on Burnley. Got to say, Burnley fighting for their lives. But this championship team is a championship team in the wrong place. And the wrong place being the Premier League. And Vincent Kompany, you might do what you will, but you need to spend some money, and you will not be spending money. And you're definitely looking like you're going back to the Championship, second time in 2 years, and it looks like you're going to collect a lot of money. There's 2 parachute payments there that Burnley will get, which is probably smarter to get relegated twice than to stay in the Premier League and go bankrupt nearly by spending too much money on player transfers and ridiculous wages. So if they go down financially, it's a big plus. So on the day, I've got to say, I'm only looking for one team to win this, and that's Brentford over Burnley. It would be a shocker if Burnley wins. Bournemouth taking on Wolves. Bournemouth last year just survived with a great run of form. Yeah, and Gary O'Neill was the man, the coach that got it all done. Wolves are coming into town this weekend. I think it's Wolves that walk out with at least a draw, but I can see them winning all the points as well. So Wolves looking for a road win. They won't get many road wins on a season, but this is definitely one that I really think they can bring home. Forest, Nottingham Forest taking on Luton Town. Likewise, Luton Town, you're above your weight. You're punching way above your weight, but it's just not going to be enough. You're a championship club, lost. You're definitely in the wrong place, and you're punching above your weight, but it's not hard enough to keep you in this race. So look at Nottingham Forest to take this one. Maybe a 2-0, maybe it could even go to a 3-1 situation, but look for Forest to take out Luton. Now, the next game, Man City taking on Brighton. Very interesting. Brighton, a lot of form. International weekend or window has just come through, so it impacted both teams. Brighton's got to travel. Players have travelled for the international break. Man City's at home. They've had them players there collectively. Then by the game day for 2.5 to 3 days, I'm taking Man City on this one, just by a hair. And when you consider a couple of games ago that Rodrigo got the red card 2 games ago and Pep Guardiola came out and said, I'm really angry. I'm really angry at Rodri. You can see that dropping 2 games, 6 points, was what Pep Guardiola was probably referring to, because he knew with Rodri out the middle, with the red card, it was going to impact points, impact games, and cost Man City. It has so far. But watch Man City bounce back this weekend. I'm taking Man City. It might be a tight one, but Man City might come on and just turn it all on. Next up, Newcastle taking on Palace. Newcastle started slow in the season, didn't they? And everybody was like, what's going on? Well, ever since then, they've been coming on, and making it happen. And I'm looking for Newcastle United to take one over Palace. Roy Hodgson's doing a great job at Palace, but sometimes you don't win them all. And Palace don't seem to be firing on all cylinders all the time. And Newcastle, that passion and 50,000 Geordies behind you, how could you fail? Next up, it's Chelsea taking on the Arsenal. Normally, I'd say Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, being a blue boy, that Chelsea's got a big chance in this one. If Chelsea wins, it's going to be a shocker. It's going to be a shocker. It may be a shocking goal. It may be an absolute mess up in defense. You know, this ticky-tacky bullshit passing out of the back kind of thing that people give up in every week. You see embarrassing goals scored against teams where they play this ticky-tacky out from the back. If you can't pass from the back, don't do it. Kick it long. Go to the old-fashioned method, yeah? The old-fashioned method was safe. You didn't see embarrassing own goals or embarrassing goals coughed up 10, 15 years ago. The rate that goals are coughed up now and the embarrassing way they're coughed up now should lead coaches not to want to do it. My tactics is, goalkeeper, you're kicking it long. We head it on. We collect the play on the second ball and we go again. We win the second ball. We don't cough it up in front of our 6-yard, 18-yard box and get scored on embarrassingly. So is there going to be a shocker of a goal that helps Chelsea win it over the Arsenal? You never know. But on the day, I'm going with Arsenal. Finally, Sheffield United taking on Man United. Man United should be the team to win this one, but there's a possible upset here, and Sheffield United possibly to get a big win and start that trip to survival. Remember that I've only got 1 point from 24. This will be the first one on the season for Sheffield United. They've been so close, but the quality up front is what is not there. It might be quality for the Championship, but it's not quality for the Premiership. So take Man United on the day. Looking for now Sunday's game and Monday's games. There you go. That's what we got. Villa, West Ham on Sunday, Tottenham, Fulham on Monday. Quite simple. Bang, Aston Villa on Sunday. Bang, Tottenham on Monday. Let's take a look at the news. Looking sadly at the news, the week began sadly with the burial of Lady Cathy Ferguson, Sir Alex Ferguson's wife. We must pay respect to that because obviously the big coach really does deserve that respect that we pay. And obviously there's a few big players in the crowd as well, such as David Beckham. There's David and also Gary Neville and a few other dignitaries. I also saw Ji-sung Park in the picture as well, or I should say at the gathering. And let's say one more thing. Rest in peace, Lady Cathy Ferguson. And for the sakes of the big man himself, Sir Alex Ferguson, you know, lovebirds stay together a long time. I really would hope that Alex is strong enough to push through this and that this is not what takes him out too. You know, sometimes when you love a woman with all your heart and she dies, so a part of you dies too. And sometimes that part of you that dies Well, it's not long after for the rest of you to die as well. But Lady Cathy is up in heaven. And I'd like to say, big respect to her, because I saw the documentary years ago when she was talking about Sir Alex, and she seemed like a phenomenal wife and a phenomenal woman. So big respect to Lady Cathy. She is in heaven. Big sorrow there for the Ferguson family. And let's hope Sir Alex Ferguson hangs around and doesn't become the prototypical lovebird that goes to heaven pretty soon. Take a moment to think about Sir Alex and the rest of the guys. So turning corners from sad to happy times, Leah Williamson, the captain of the Lionesses that won the Euros last year, was given the British Award of Honour of the British Empire by none other than the royal family, which happens all the time. But you got to say, Prince William is hanging the award or pinning the award to Leah Williamson's left breast. She's looking down all kind of, whoops, be careful there, fella, what you're doing with that pin. It looks a little awkward, and he's having a good grin. So there you go. OBE winner Leah Williamson getting the OBE pinned to her left breast by Prince William. Moving along, let's take a look about Sir James Ratcliffe. And talking about Sir James Ratcliffe, soon to be 25% stake owner at Manchester United Football Club. If you look above, you see Manchester United FC, MUFC on the banner there. They're worth 6 billion. Yeah? Sir James is worth 29 billion. His 25% stake has been quoted at 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 billion. Irrelevant. Just call it 1.5 billion, yeah? For 25%. Manchester United categorically is not a club worth 6 billion at all. It's closer to 4. And the greed from the Glazer family is getting ridiculous by the day. Recently, you would have read in the news, up until this time, right now, you would have read in the news that the decision was coming down this Thursday. Well, apparently it's not coming down this Thursday. It's been pushed on again. I don't know anybody that turns up with $1.5 billion that gets told to wait. You got that kind of money in your pocket. People open the door before you get there. And by the way, there's 6 Glazer siblings on Manchester United's board. I, as a Man United fan and a Wrexham fan, would like to see the Glazers leave the building, because all they're doing is causing decay around the stadium and the fan base worldwide. If they can't see it, well, they'll certainly see it on the receipts pretty soon, because I, for one, will not buy Manchester United apparel at any level until they're gone. And I would support anybody that did that. I'm not saying you do that, but I would support you if you did. They're not worth paying for. They're not worth buying shirts for. And until the Glazers go and there's a clean bill of health at that club, I would say keep your money in your pocket and spend it on something better. But anyway, Sir James Ratcliffe, there he is. He's coming in, and they're going to have a meeting whether they're going to accept the bid of 1.5 for 25% stake and either accept Sir James Ratcliffe. I tell you what, these Glazers, man, I tell you, they are a breed above nothing at all. I tell you, I can't tell you how much I love them and what I really think about them. But the Glazers, remember that name. They've caused more problems for Man United than any other owner group ever. Now, finishing on 2 points, we're going to get to Mason Greenwood over there in Spain. And also, we're going to talk about the recent game for England over Italy. Right now, it's a case of Harry Kane, 87 games for England, 61 international goals. That's a record. That's an absolute record. The only guy that's close to him is Nat Loftus from 1930s. But Nat only played 30-odd games for 30-odd goals. Yeah, so you can see what I'm saying. But Kane, take it this way. If England are going to do anything, he's going to be the guy to make it happen. When he's playing for Bayern München, here's another factor. 7 games in, 8 goals in the league, but I believe it's 10 games total for 9 games already for Bayern München. And there's somebody out there rumoring that he wants to make a trip or a transfer back to Tottenham. Who the hell's putting that out there? He's in Bayern. He's in München player. Bayern München Spieler. And he's having a great time. Hervorragende Zeit in Deutschland. He's living it up. He don't want to go back to Tottenham. Why would he? Maybe for these last year of his career, if that was taken out of context, but he's firmly in Bayern Munich right now. But let's face it, he's doing fantastic. And I tell you, he will be the leading scorer for England. And I don't think anybody's ever going to beat that apart from maybe a genius. We'll get to a genius real soon. Now, over to the right side there, or the left side, whichever way you're looking, is the England coach, Gareth Southgate. This guy's the luckiest guy in the world. He's had so many competitions to have proved himself that he didn't prove himself. And apparently, when England don't win something, the media think we're fantastic. Well, England's not great until they win something. Yeah, 58 years coming up. It needs to end pretty soon. There's a World Cup and a Euro coming, so England's got to win a trophy. Southgate, okay, why would you keep him on as coach? Anybody could coach these guys. There's that much talent there. But the point of the matter is, if England do win a trophy at the Euros and then go to the World Cup and get close or win it, he will be heralded as an absolute icon. He just got lucky with the players on that squad. Come on. Even you could put the guys in the right places. Even you could squad this team into glory. You could pick the team and pick the squad just as good as he can. I mean, you watch the games. You see the talent. You've seen the ratings. You know who's a great defender. You know who's great in goal. You know who's great in midfield. You know who's an attacking midfielder. You know who's good at the wing play. You know who's good at the wing back play. You know who can finish up front. Not only Gareth Southgate can see that, we can too, yeah? So if England win anything in the next 4 years, it will make Gareth Southgate look way better than he is. Now, finally, looking at Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham, Real Madrid, Hala Madrid. This guy is probably going to be one of the greats. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to unearth this before it even comes out. Jude Bellingham, Ballon d'Or winner. You're going to hear that in the future. You are definitely going to hear that in the future. But what it's going to take is Real Madrid to assemble a better team around him. This is not the best Real Madrid team, period, ever. And right now, it could add or could do with a few additions to build for the future around Bellingham. Remember, he's still a kid and he's lighting it up. So Ballon d'Or with my man. Absolutely, Jude Bellingham. He's going to be one of the great players for England. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, he started young. He looks way better than anybody else in midfield who have years of experience on him. And he can only get better.